Well, I mean, at the end of the day, the most important thing that you need to consider is what is your goal in traveling with your dog. If your goal is just to get from point A to point B, that has its pros and cons and its merits, and those are the situations more often than not. I am speaking with people about using certain medications and supplements in order to ensure that we just get from point A to point B. But if the goal is to have, a really interactive time with your pet, because if you're traveling by automobile, for instance, that can be a lot easier to have an interactive time with your pet. Um, you want to make sure that you are giving them the enrichment that they will need, that attention from you that they will need during that time of travel as well. So that's probably the first and foremost, is knowing what your ultimate goal is. I mean, unfortunately, sometimes we don't have as long as we would like. We don't have 6 months to train our ridiculous creatures how to walk into a crate on their own so that they volunteer. And that's okay, because life happens, and we don't need to be kicking ourselves because we didn't think about this 6 months ago. But having a really good team around you, friends and family, but also your veterinary professionals, talking to them, and having that support network. So as I mentioned, in the military, there were times that people all of a sudden up and needed to move halfway around the world. And so sometimes it is a matter of, we just need to get this pet from point A to point B safely. And so how can we accomplish that with the tools that we have in place? And you know it's okay if you haven't already started training your pet at home and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't think of all of these things and I was hoping to travel next month. You know, Start now. And if you haven't gotten as far as you would like a couple of weeks from now, be calling your veterinarian. That's what we're here for. We want to help you have as fulfilled life as you can with your pet.
Yeah, absolutely. Really great advice there. Would you say there are any big mistakes or misconceptions or concerns that pet owners have when it comes to travel?
Well, some of the biggest mistakes or misconceptions, really, because mistakes means a totally different thing to me, but there is so much that we don't see sometimes when it's not in our field of expertise, right? And so one thing that I will see is that somebody doesn't keep their pet as safe when they're traveling. They unbuckle the seatbelt, or they let them out of the carrier because they feel bad for their pet. Well, as we've been talking, if we prep the pet and really work to structure, that travel time in a way that the pet does enjoy, then, my 10-pound dog actually did fine and was very safe and happy in her 16-hour plane ride in her crate, because it had become her safe space for her. Because unfortunately, sometimes when you do let a dog off of their seatbelt or out of their crate, that can create a dangerous situation for them. And so, that is one misconception that I'll see. And I have unfortunately have seen pets that ended up jumping out of car windows or got under the feet of somebody and got hurt. Thankfully, nobody crashed in those situations, but it could happen. So that's probably one of the most common misconceptions. And the other is that they don't want to have to use anything to help their pet travel better. But let's think about it. There are plenty of people that have anxiety traveling, by plane, train, or automobile, whether it's because of the people or the method of travel. When it's something that's not as familiar with us, it can cause anxiety. And the biggest difference is, we can try and talk to ourselves about it, but you can't necessarily sit your pet down and say, look, it may look big and scary, but it's okay. So, giving them a little something to help them through that is often the most loving thing that we can do for them. We're not drugging them to try and change their personality or anything like that. We're just trying to help them have a new tool to experience the world around them.
Yeah, of course. That's amazing. I love that.